Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Navigation. Thunder Fruit, God's Valley Susanobu descends to the world. Mitt travels to the pirate world of the Rocks era and obtains the Thunderbolt Fruit. At the same time, as long as there are people around him who die, he can gain dominance, physical fitness, and fruit ability points from them. At the beginning, he joined the Rocks team and became the captain. As the harvest continued to increase, new abilities such as Kirin, sequel Nenghu, Thunderbolt Booster, and Electromagnetic Cannon were developed by Mite.Charlotte Lingling. I thought I was very strong, but it's not worth mentioning in front of Mitt. Yellow Ape. His speed is above mine. White Beard. He is the strongest man in the world. Roger. As long as he's not the Pirate King, no one can be the Pirate King. Marichoia. The protagonist stands on the deck of the Hades that blends the fruits of Nica, looking down at IMM from a high position. Now it's only you left. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Revenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 1481 according to the Hyuan calendar. Saipan Island near Skull Island, Kingdom of Garcia. A group of pirates landed on this island, led by a tall man with long horns and a wolf-toothed iron rod in his hand, his face gloomy. Kai Duo Boss. We have already agreed with the King of Garcia that we can go directly to the civilian area to catch him. The little pirate next to him laughed. Wait. The young Kaido touched his chin and frowned. Why do I feel like there's something wrong with the situation? Forget it. After thinking for a while, Kido grinned. Anyway, it's just helping with miscellaneous fish. Just grab some and go back. I don't want to waste time here. Kai Duo raised his wolf-tooth stick and shouted loudly. Little ones, rush in and catch anyone you see. Hurry up. Okay. A group of pirates with fierce faces, like fierce wolves, rushed towards the town. But the situation in the Kingdom of Garcia surprised Kaido and he had to stop. The entire town is littered with ruins, with charred bodies hanging in various places, and the smell of burning continues to waft out. Damn it. Someone was here just now. Kai Duozi knocked over a corpse with a stick and said in hatred. Who the hell is it? Who the hell dares to act recklessly in Rock's territory? Are you okay? The other pirates quickly explored the surroundings and did not find any survivors. That is to say, before they landed, someone had slaughtered the entire town completely. No. Kido suddenly noticed something and shot his gaze towards the Garcia Palace. He heard the crackling sound coming from the palace. There are people in the palace. Come with me and take a look. Kato shouted loudly. I will meet that guy. The towering building in the middle of Saipan Island is the palace of the Kingdom of Garcia. At this moment, the Garcia Palace is filled with scattered black smoke and charred corpses. Don't come over. The middle-aged man in luxurious clothes looked panicked and kept retreating until he hit the wall. You've been tormenting me before, but now you're panicking. Mitt sneered. The man in front of me is just a beast, and Mitt has suffered a lot under his command. Mitt said, clasping the other person's neck and lifting them up. Die, stupid pig. Help. The man was covered in countless electric currents before he could continue speaking. Gently releasing his hand, another charred corpse fell at Mitt's feet. Gain 10 experience of armed color dominance. The cold tone of the system echoed in Mitt's mind. He shook his head slightly, his face extremely cold. With this little experience, you're really a waste. Ding, armed color domineering experience is full, successfully promoted to intermediate level. Anyway, I've gathered some experience again, let's take a look at the situation. He immediately opened the panel and browsed through the current situation. Mite, age 15, formerly 27, ability. Thunderbolt Fruit, advanced swordsmanship, advanced body art. Physical condition. Invulnerable to knives and guns. Armed color dominance. Intermediate, 0/100000, seen and heard colorful dominance. Junior, 6324/10,000, overlord color and domineering aura. Beginner level, 0/10,000, fruit development level. Advanced, 5/10000000. Looking at his own panel, Mitt couldn't help but say. I knew that domineering colors were difficult to handle, but it was easier to use armed colors. As a reader who has watched the plot of One Piece, Mitt inexplicably travels through this world. And he also became a slave without dignity. Mitt suffered a lot here, just when he thought he was about to hiccup. The system has awakened, and now Mitt can obtain the ability to die through the system. So after obtaining the ability of Thunder Fruit, Mitt did not hesitate to seek revenge against those slave owners. Even the entire town has become an experience point for Mitt to acquire abilities. The greater the difference in ability between the corpse itself and the meter, the lower the efficiency of obtaining it. Nevertheless, Mitt still wanted to kill the other person with his own hands to avenge his past experiences. In his opinion, these bastards have been watching coldly and insulting themselves constantly before. Mitt will not let anyone go, and the entire kingdom of Garcia will not let anyone go. Bang! A bullet shot through Mitt's elemental body. At the same time, it also interrupted his thinking. Mitt stood in place, with a group of people present besides him. They are the only ones left in the entire kingdom of Garcia. King Garcia, surrounded by guards, looked extremely panicked and cursed loudly. You devil! I have already called the navy over. No matter how arrogant you are, it's no use waiting to die. Upon hearing the other person cursing, Mitt slowly turned around and said word by word. So what, do you think I'm afraid? You all have to die today, whoever comes is the same. He is not afraid of any navy at all, and of course the king's threat is useless. The king of Garcia's face became even more anxious when he saw that his threat had not been effective. Hurry up, stop him. Stop him. He quickly called out to the guards around him, trying to stop Mitt's progress. But how could these guards be Mitt's opponents, let alone now they have all been scared out of their wits, standing in place trembling. Mitt couldn't help but burst into laughter when he saw the situation. Haha. With someone like you, I can easily kill you. No one can stop me. Glancing in another direction, Mitt walked towards the king of Garcia. Behind the wall in the other direction, Kaido and others were standing there. Noticing Mitt's gaze, Kaido took a deep breath. What a domineering man, don't act rashly, take a look first. He has already sensed the aura on this man, he is definitely a master. The navy is almost here, do you hear me? If you don't want to die, get out. King Garcia was still threatening, but Mitt ignored it. He just raised his right hand, with a sneer on his face, and lightly tapped his fingers. Shut up, idiot. With a loud bang, a thunderbolt struck the king of Garcia in an instant, but no one reacted. King Garcia rolled his eyes up, opened his mouth, and exhaled a smoke, causing his scorched body to fall. He's dead. Mitt looked down at the guards at the scene, exuding a terrifying aura all over. The guards were stunned and couldn't help but shiver. Some people even turned pale and knelt down with a thud. This man's aura has already shattered their defenses. Everyone knows he will do what he says, and the entire kingdom of Garcia will die. The group of Kai Duo who were watching below were surprised and didn't expect the other party to move so quickly. This is definitely a natural fruit. Kai Duo exclaimed in surprise, and then a blazing light burst into his eyes. There are not many people with natural abilities, I want to pull them onto the ship. Upon seeing this scene, Kaido made up his mind to recruit this man. Of course, Mitt didn't know at this moment. He saw that King Garcia had died and was ready to take action to deal with the remaining people. As for the guy hiding below, we'll deal with it later. I'll keep my word, you all have to be buried together today. Just as Mitt was about to take action, countless footsteps kept coming in. With so many people, it was definitely the Navy. The Navy is here. Mitt still had a cold smile on his face when he heard the sound. That old trash is already dead. It's your turn next, Navy. Chapter 2. Rear Admiral's Attendance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the ruins and scattered charred corpses in front of us, all the Navy's faces were extremely gloomy. Such terrifying destructive power, is it a natural disaster? Rear Admiral Jeff couldn't help but say. The King of Garcia should still be up there, all come with me. General Jeff shouted, leading the charge upwards. A group of navies rushed outside the main entrance and suddenly realized something was wrong. Who? Major Jeff shouted, his eyes fixed on the corner. Before the other party could continue to take action, Kaido walked out of the shadows with his subordinates. Marines, your enemy is not here, Kaido smiled and said directly. It's up there. General Jeff frowned and looked at the man in front of him, then asked in a deep voice. Who the hell are you? Why are you here? Major Jeff, he's Kido, a subordinate of Rock's. A naval lieutenant next to him recognized Kido. He is a pirate with a bounty of 100 million Bailey. What? Major Jeff was taken aback. You guys, Rocks, actually have an eye on this place, he said, his mind highly tense. Bastard. We won't let you succeed. Locke's henchmen appeared in the kingdom of Garcia, and without hesitation, Jeff identified them as the culprit. Hello, are you deaf? Kido shook his head and said. I'm not interested in this rundown place, it's not something I did. It's not you who did it, then who is it? Major Jeff shouted. He knew the strength of the Rock's pirates and couldn't help but sweat a cold sweat on his forehead. Kaido's face lit up with a smile and he spoke up, if you guys don't get over there yet, they'll have to kill everyone there. That guy is not from the Rock's pirates gang. Don't worry, we won't interfere. Upon hearing Kaido's words, General Jeff realized the urgency of the situation and quickly called on his subordinates. Go and support the King of Garcia. At the same time, all the navies on site breathed a sigh of relief. It's best if the enemy is not a member of the Locke's pirates, so there's no need to conflict with them. Now that Locke's is in the limelight, the Navy is very wary of them, and branch lieutenants like Jeff will definitely not be able to defeat them. But as long as it's not Rocks, Jeff has confidence in solving the other party. A Grand Naval Lieutenant General is not something that can be achieved by any cat or dog. A group of navies rushed up the second floor like this and arrived at the entrance of the hall. Jeff saw a young man standing in the center of the field, preparing to take action. He quickly shouted. Stop it. Mitt ignored the other party and waved his hand, suddenly shooting several thunderbolts from the air. With a loud bang, the remaining few fleeing guards were all hit by the falling thunder. Ah! They let out their final scream, instantly turning into coke. General Jeff's eyes widened upon seeing this, and he couldn't help but be taken aback. At this level, he is indeed a master. Subsequently, General Jeff regained his senses and his chest surged with anger, shouting in a stern voice. You murderous demon, you have taken action against the King of Garcia, the crime is unforgivable. Don't talk nonsense, Mitt said proudly. I'm standing here just to wait for you to come up and see the strength of the Navy. Give you a chance to report your name. Rear Admiral Jeff, this is the name of your life. Jeff responded coldly. He tightly locked onto the young man in front of him, not daring to slack off. Both in terms of momentum and the opponent's recent performance, General Jeff knows that the opponent is difficult to deal with. General Jeff's subordinates had already surrounded Mitt, with all the guns pointing at him. Don't take it lightly, this man is difficult to deal with. Major Jeff reminded. But Mitt still had a smile on his face and didn't pay any attention to them. Upon hearing that the other party was a lieutenant general, Mitt became interested. General of the branch, that should be a decent level of strength, just to test one's own strength. Mitt is not quite sure about his own strength yet, and the Navy is just right to come in at this time. Hee hee. Mitt smiled, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Let me see how much weight you really have. During his speech, Mitt's whole body erupted into an astonishing aura, and the sky suddenly shrouded in dark clouds. General Jeff noticed something was amiss and immediately rushed towards the other party. He used the lunar step from the Navy's sixth form to jump into the air, and his right foot instantly pulled out several wind blades. Lan Jiao. Accompanied by the blades, there were also bullets fired by nearby naval soldiers. These attacks have surrounded Mitt's group and won't give him a chance to escape. But Mitt still had a sneer on his face, his whole body making a crackling sound, whether it was a wind blade or a bullet, they all went straight through. This is elemental. As a natural fruit cultivator, these attacks have no effect at all. Sensing this situation, Jeff stepped on it in the air and rushed towards Mitt. To deal with elemental enemies, one must use dominance. Jeff extended his finger, covered in a layer of armed color and domineering aura, with the target pointing directly at Mitt. Finger the gun. This type of finger gun is Mitt's most powerful move, not to mention it is covered with powerful armed colors and domineering aura. As long as you poke Mitt's body, the other person will either die or take half their life. Faced with the opponent's attack, Mitt also became serious at this moment, shouted loudly, and punched forward. He didn't avoid it, but chose to directly confront Jeff with his armed aura. Fists and fingers collided, and the armed forces of both sides collided with each other, unleashing a fierce impact. Ah! Mitt didn't hold on for long before his fingers were forcefully punched back by Mitt's fist. He quickly wanted to retreat, but Mitt chased after him with an unstoppable iron fist and hit the opponent's right fist directly. Jeff covered his right hand and screamed in agony, retreating back and forth, his forehead and back already covered in cold sweat. Just using armed colors to forcefully challenge him almost broke his bones, and he has already suffered a great loss. All the navies on site were stunned, they didn't expect this young man to be so powerful. Surprisingly, he repelled General Jeff with just one strike, his strength is truly terrifying. Kido below also showed a surprised expression and couldn't help but say. Such a powerful armed color, it's just as exaggerated as Lingling's. What? Mitt withdrew his fist, quite satisfied with his own punch. Are you at this level? He sneered. It seems that I have overestimated the strength of the Navy. A mere lieutenant general is just like that. Shut up. Major Jeff angrily said. The Navy doesn't allow you to insult. Mitt raised his eyebrows and said loudly. Do you want me to praise your performance? Stop talking nonsense, Major Jeff said in a deep voice. The battle has just begun, I won't let you go. That's not right, Mitt said calmly as he scanned the scene. The battle has ended. As soon as the words fell, there were more and more dark clouds in the sky, and the scene suddenly became extremely dim. Kido and Jeff's faces changed drastically at the same time. Chapter 3 However, that's all. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quickly withdraw. Kaido suddenly let out a loud roar and rushed down at full speed, while lifting his wolf tooth stick up. He looked up at the sky, where dark clouds were already covering the sky above, and the electric light flickered, exuding a powerful aura. At this moment, Mitt was covered in lightning and his powerful aura was constantly emanating. Dodge, he wants to. Jeff also noticed something was wrong and quickly reminded his subordinates to retreat. Before Jeff could finish speaking, the thunder had already struck, and countless flashes of lightning enveloped everyone on the scene, leaving no one to avoid it. Kaido's face changed slightly, and he himself had to resist forcefully. Thunder and gossip. Kaido shouted loudly and forcefully bounced away the lightning that had struck him. But other thunderbolts have already struck, and the roaring sound keeps ringing. The entire building cannot support itself and is rapidly collapsing. Everyone on site has no place to stay. Even if they were not struck by lightning, they would still be crushed to death by the collapsed debris. Iron block. In an emergency situation, Jeff only had time to protect himself. In an instant, the screams were incessant, and the scene was immediately engulfed by the dust and smoke caused by the collapse. Bombing away the falling stones, Kaido's expression was very serious. Although he forcefully took this move, his arms were still numb from the shock, almost unable to bounce back, and even had a burning smell. This man's strength greatly exceeded Kaido's expectations. He looked up and saw the young man floating in mid-air amidst the rolling dust and smoke. And General Jeff, with blood oozing from all over his body, stood firmly on the ground and was already dead. The dark clouds in the sky have dissipated, and the sunlight has once again fallen on Mitt, shining brightly on him. It's like a god. Kaido couldn't help but sigh. It was the first time he had seen such a scene, and his heart couldn't help but tremble. Ding defeat Rear Admiral of the Navy branch and gain experience of Armed Color Dominance *100, obtain the ability of Navy Type 6 through the corpse of Rear Admiral Jeff. Mitt felt the strong wind blowing over and said lightly. Uabu is pretty good to use. He had been thinking about the Navy Type 6 from the beginning, and now naturally he has achieved his wish. This Navy Type 6 is very practical and has also made significant improvements for Mitt. Next, it's time for the next one. Mitt thought this way and slowly fell from the air. Kaido was looking at the other person at the moment and was startled when he saw Mitt falling towards him. He has just seen the strength of this man, so he naturally dare not take it lightly now. Mitt fell beside Kaido and looked at him, sweating profusely. Are you Kaido? Ah. Kaido was stunned for a moment, not realizing that Mitt still knew him. You're still under Locke's command now, Mitt said again. That's right, I'm from the Locke's pirates, Kaido realized and quickly said. Brother, your strength is very good. Do you want to try? Mitt raised his hand to interrupt Kaido and said directly. I don't need to say much, I just want to join the Rock's pirates. Now Kaido was even more surprised. He hadn't finished speaking yet, why was the other party so decisive? He certainly didn't know that Mitt had traveled through time and was familiar with the plot of One Piece. So as soon as Mitt saw the diagonal corner on Kaido's head and the other person's appearance, he could tell the other person's situation. Kaido must still be under Rox's command now, it's just an opportunity. This Rear Admiral and the entire kingdom of Garcia, let's just consider me joining Rox's nomination, Mitt said. He glanced at Kaido and said, do you have any objections? No, of course not. Kaido quickly shook his head, a courteous smile appearing on his face. With a master like you joining, Rox will definitely be very happy. After learning that Mitt wanted to join Rox, Kaido naturally felt overjoyed and quickly expressed goodwill to the other party. Such a master, Kaido must find a way to recruit him, at least not to be hostile. So, Mitt left Saipan with the group of Kaido and headed to the headquarters of the Rox Pirates, Beehive Island. As for the Kingdom of Garcia and those navies, the only thing left for the world government is a burnt black body. No one expected that a character who would stir up the world in the future would emerge out of thin air. Marin Fando, Naval Headquarters, in the conference room. Marshal Gangukong is currently holding a meeting with senior naval officials. This is an emergency meeting to discuss something that happened not long ago at the Palace of Garcia. I didn't expect the entire kingdom of Garcia to be. The young crane couldn't help but shake his head as he looked at the information in his hand. Even she herself did not expect such a thing to happen. Who exactly is the culprit? The Warring States period gritted his teeth, and he couldn't bear to see such a thing happen. This is a photo taken on site, just take a look and you'll know. He said and handed a photo to other senior naval officers for review. During the Warring States period, he quickly glanced over the photo and saw a young man floating in the air with full momentum. He exclaimed in surprise. Why is this guy so young? Is he really the murderer? That's right, this man is the real culprit behind such a tragedy. Marshal Steelbone spoke in silence. His name is Mitt, he's from the Rocks Pirates. What? The Warring States period was surprised again. When did the Rocks Pirates team have another expert? When it came to locks, all the senior naval officers on the scene looked serious. It should have just been added, Steelbone said in a deep voice. The news just came from the Rocks Pirates side that he must have done the tragedy in the Kingdom of Garcia. It's not easy to handle now, the Warring States couldn't help but scratch his head and worry. That guy Locks was already powerful, but now he has an additional monster, it's really tricky. Haha. Cap, who had always been heartless, suddenly laughed. Warring States, you've grown so big, can you still wet your pants? Since this Mitt has joined Rocks, we have just solved it together. I happen to have the opportunity to compete with this Mitt, my hands are itching. The Warring States period couldn't help but roll its eyes and said directly. Dealing with Locks is not something you alone should do, we all have to take action. Steelbone Kong also said, if you want to deal with Rocks, it's not the time yet. Not long after, the Rocks Pirates will have a big battle with the Roger Pirates. After finishing the fight, let's see what strength this man named Mitt has. How can we estimate the bounty now? Asked the Crane. Steel Skeleton looked around the scene with many naval high-level officials and spoke in a deep voice. Preliminary estimates suggest a bounty of 200 million Baileys. Now we need to focus on the showdown between Rocks and Roger, everything else needs to be slowed down. Everyone needs to be prepared to deal with Rocks and Roger. Chapter 4. The Provocation of the Golden Lion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The headquarters of the Rocks Pirates, Beehive Island. This place is known as a pirate paradise, and Mitt felt this atmosphere as soon as he arrived on the island. He quickly adapted and finally met Locks himself after casually flying a few inconspicuous pirates. Rocks had red hair all over his head, and his eyes occasionally flashed with a murderous aura. The aura on his body alone was quite terrifying. However, what surprised Mitt was that Rocks was covered in scars for some reason, and although it didn't seem to have any impact, he still felt something was wrong. Mitt. Locks glanced over. The murderous aura in his eyes also rushed towards Mitt, but his face remained calm, clearly unaffected. That's right, it's me, Mitt said lightly. Okay. Rocks laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, I just made such a big deal out of it. The Navy must be so angry that they're itching for it, okay. No need to say more, you can become my subordinate under Locks and board the ship. Upon hearing Locks so decisive, Kido couldn't help but look envious. He didn't join the Rocks Pirates so easily in the first place, it seems that this Mitt is still powerful. I not only want to join, but also become a cadre of this pirate group, Mitt suddenly said. Even Locks couldn't help but be surprised and looked up and down at Mitt. In his opinion, Mitt is very young, and it is quite difficult to say he is a man. Although the strength is very good, it is not easy to convince others at this age. After pondering for a while, Rocks nodded with a slight sneer on the corner of his mouth. No problem, you can become a cadre. But just my appointment is useless, you have to deal with others. This is not a problem for me, Mitt said directly. Others have objections, I don't mind letting them come together. Locks couldn't help but laugh again. Ha ha ha, you're so arrogant. Then let me see if you can handle it. Kido, who was standing beside him, looked in his eyes and shook his head slightly. Now there's another good show to watch. Quickly, Locks called over his great pirate and introduced Mitt to them. This is the new cadre of our Rocks Pirates team, Mitt. He laughed and introduced himself, not caring at all about the eyes of his other subordinates. The reactions of these great pirates were all very surprised, they had never heard of such a person before. Moreover, Mitt looked so young that no one expected him to become a cadre as soon as he arrived. This also made Mitt the focus of attention for everyone in the Rocks Pirates, and the entire Beehive Island quickly became aware of this situation. The meeting was brief, and after the meeting ended, a strong man with a white beard and blonde hair who was attending stopped Mitt as he was about to leave. "You're Mitt, right?" the blonde man said in a deep voice. "What's up?" "Edward Newgate." Mitt glanced at the other person. "This blonde man is the strongest man in the sea in the future, Edward Newgate, the fourth emperor with a white beard." Of course, at this point in time, Baihu Z has just emerged and is working under the command of Rocks. Edward Whitebeard didn't talk nonsense and said directly. "Although I don't know why you joined the Rocks Pirates, I still advise you to be careful and stay away from Rocks." "Why do you say that?" Mitt asked. "He is a very dangerous man," replied Whitebeard. "So what?" Mitt smiled slightly. "Only others hide from me, not me hiding from others." Whitebeard looked at Mitt and couldn't help but grin. "It seems that you still have some courage, but I didn't say anything about it." Mitt's words actually made Whitebeard Edward have some favorable feelings. "Alright, I'll treat you to a drink," Mitt laughed. "I'm new here and I don't know much about the Rocks Pirates. I hope you can say more." "Of course, not a problem," Edward, with a white beard, nodded with a smile on his face. "I happen to want to go to a bar too. We can have a good drink." Mitt and Whitebeard arrived at a bar on Beehive Island, which was the place where they, the cadres of the Rocks Pirates, often visited. After 3 rounds of drinking, Mitt quickly learned a lot of news from the slightly intoxicated Whitebeard. The most important of them is that the Rocks Pirates are about to set sail, preparing to snatch the legendary historical texts. "Edward, do you know where the main text of history is?" Mitt couldn't help but ask. "I have a bit of an eyebrow, but Locks is more concerned about this thing." Whitebeard smiled and then patted Mitt's shoulder. "I heard you're still an elemental fruit expert, you're quite impressive," he said, his face darkening. "But forget to cultivate more dominance and survive in the new world, relying on fruit abilities is not enough." "Thank you for your reminder," Mitt casually said, not taking it to heart. By the way, Mitt suddenly remembered the situation from the meeting and asked. "Can you introduce other cadres besides you?" He was just taking this opportunity to get to know someone, but he didn't expect someone to be approaching at this moment. Edward Whitebeard quickly sensed the situation and looked towards the visitor. "Is this the newly arrived cadre?" A man's voice sounded from behind Mitt. Mitt turned around and found that it was the Golden Lion who had just introduced himself at the meeting. This man has a strong aura all over his body, and at first glance he knows it's not easy to provoke, but he can't scare Mitt. "What's going on?" Mitt said, looking at the other person. "Did you go blind just now?" The Golden Lion's face changed slightly, laughed a few times, and poured a sip of wine into his mouth. Then he forcefully smashed the glass towards Mitt's face. No one expected the Golden Lion to suddenly make a fuss, but Mitt reacted quickly and a flash appeared behind the Golden Lion. His speed is astonishing, even Whitebeard himself was taken aback. "Golden Lion. What do you want to do?" Edward Whitebeard angrily said. "Hee," the Golden Lion continued with a sneer as he failed to strike. "I just want to see if this kid has any skills, don't sneak in a useless person." As soon as this statement was made, everyone knew the intention of the Golden Lion, and he came to provoke on purpose. "There's no need to tell you about my situation," Mitt said calmly, throwing his hair over his hand. The Golden Lion's face slightly changed, and it was his hair that the other person was holding. The pirates in the bar immediately started to cheer up when they saw this situation. "Kid, hurry up and don't let anyone underestimate you. Hands on, Golden Lion, aren't you afraid?" Listening to the commotion of the people around him, the Golden Lion decided to pull out his sword directly, and the atmosphere at the scene suddenly became tense. "I knew the situation would be like this," sighed an older pirate. "What's wrong?" the pirate next to him asked. "You haven't been here long and you're not sure about the current situation of the Loch's pirates," said the older pirate. "Now the Rock's pirates have 4 factions, the largest of which are Captain John Wang's gang, and the White Beard and Golden Lion are on par. There is also a new generation led by Charlotte Lingling, which cannot be underestimated. However, this newly arrived Mitt probably didn't know the strength of the Golden Lion, and walking so close to the White Beard would be more ominous than good." Just as he finished speaking, the situation of the on-site confrontation suddenly changed. Mitt stared at the Golden Lion and spoke directly. "If you want to take action, I'm always there. If you lose, don't make excuses." "Do you think I'll lose?" the Golden Lion said in a fierce voice, staring at Mitt. "Then let me see how much skill you have." As soon as the words fell, the Golden Lion swung a sword at Mitt, and its huge sword quickly pierced through the entire bar. Almost in an instant, the entire bar was cut open by his sword, and the sword's rays directly sliced into the sea, separating it. The pirates in the bar were shaken hard and quickly scattered, afraid of being affected. The sword of the Golden Lion is extremely terrifying, and if it is directly struck, it will definitely be cut in half. But to everyone's surprise at the scene, Mitt still stood next to the Golden Lion and was not affected at all. He was unharmed. Chapter 5. Take Me a Move. Confident Mitt. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the tavern collapsed, all the pirates inside hurriedly ran out. Run quickly. The Golden Lion is about to take action. Hurry up. The Golden Lion who steps on the horse doesn't care about anything when he starts, that kid is going to suffer. The pirates of Beehive Island were quickly attracted by the situation in the tavern and paid attention to it. Even Lox himself was aware of this situation. He smiled slightly, with a dangerous gleam in his eyes. "Let me see, what kind of abilities do you have, kid?" On the other hand, the Golden Lion and Mitt are still facing each other, and the atmosphere is very tense. Ding, gain 40 experience of armed color dominance and 50 experience of seen and heard color dominance. The cold sound of the system echoed in Mitt's mind, and he nodded slightly. Joining the Rock's pirates here is indeed the right thing to do. Take this opportunity to improve your abilities. With this thought in mind, Mitt glanced at the situation behind him and said calmly. "Are you prepared to have a fight with me? Why are you afraid?" The Golden Lion sneered. "Hee hee." Mitt smiled, his eyes full of war intent. "At your level, you haven't caught my eye yet." The Golden Lion was angered by Mitt. He was a great pirate and wouldn't let the other party mock him. "Look at the move." With a loud shout, the Golden Lion floated into mid-air and charged directly towards Mitt. The pirates who were watching on sight immediately shouted out. The Golden Lion made a move. That kid is definitely going to finish it. Shi has a floating fruit, and his swordsmanship and domineering are quite impressive. Even a naval general won't let him down. I think this kid is already quite unlucky. Get ready to collect his body. The pirate smiled and said, confident in the Golden Lion. I saw the Golden Lion strike with one sword, then head down towards Mitt, charging with a huge sword. But Mitt was fearless in the face of danger, and just as the opponent swung towards him with a sword, he took the opportunity to elementalize and dodge. After dodging, Mitt punched fiercely with his right fist and hit the Golden Lion in the chest. The shockwave generated by the confrontation between the two began to oscillate and suddenly exploded, shock-aging them backwards. However, Mitt will not miss this opportunity. He lifted his right hand and suddenly caught a silver lightning bolt in his hand. Mitt transformed this lightning into a long sword and charged towards the Golden Lion with lightning. Where to go? Mitt was extremely fast and stabbed with a sword. The Golden Lion's face slightly changed, and it unleashed the ability of floating fruits, turning the ground into a huge lion. Lion's power. Earth scrolls. The lion opened its bloody jaws and fiercely bit at Mitt. Mitt was fearless in the face of danger, increasing the power of his lightning sword and pressing it down with force. Drink. This lightning sword quickly grew stronger, and Mitt shouted loudly, vigorously swinging it down. This huge stone lion was split in half with just one sword, without even the ability to resist. Mitt pursued the victory and constantly exchanged swords with the golden lion, fighting fiercely. Edward Whitebeard punched open the ruins and debris, carefully watching the battle before him. You didn't really talk big, your strength is really extraordinary. Beard smiled at the corner of his mouth. Although we only spent a while together, Whitebeard still had confidence in Mitt's strength. Since the other party is so confident, there must be no problem fighting the golden lion. Of course, Whitebeard knows the power of the golden lion, and the best part is yet to come. Like Whitebeard, other pirates were also watching this amazing battle. The battle between Mitt and the golden lion is not something that ordinary people can see, and they are also curious about who is more powerful. What a powerful man. I thought the golden lion could win at once, but I didn't expect him to fight back. Interestingly, it seems that this guy named Mitt is really powerful. Humph, don't be too happy too early. You're not unaware of that guy, Shiki. This is far from his strength. I think as long as the golden lion Shurji takes it seriously, this kid will be ruined. That pirate still has great confidence in the golden lion. Mitt and the golden lion are in close combat, evenly matched, but Mitt will find it more difficult. After all, the golden lion has a considerable strength in its prime, and it is normal to be able to suppress Mitt. However, Mitt wouldn't let the situation get more and more one-sided like this, and suddenly cut it with a sword. The golden lion's black-armed color is launched with a domineering aura, and it also attacks with a sword, ready to kill it on the spot. Boom! Under the collision, the golden lion and Mitt both flew backwards from the smoke. The golden lion has the ability to bear fruit and quickly adjusts, floating in mid-air. You're really good at it, the golden lion said in a deep voice. But don't think you can win this way. Kid, said the golden lion in a loud voice, join me. As long as you come over, I can give you anything you want. Mitt stood with his sword in hand, with silver arcs flashing around his body, exuding an extraordinary aura. He pointed his sword at the golden lion in mid-air and gently tilted his head to the other side. Is that all, golden lion? So what if I want your brain? The golden lion was angered by the opponent's arrogant attitude and shouted angrily. Don't be shameless, you don't have the qualifications. Mitt gave a cold smile and then drifted up like the other person. The golden lion looked surprised and said in a deep voice. What kind of elemental fruit are you? Thunderbolt. Just give it a try and you'll know, Mitt said proudly. As long as you take my move, you can join me. Upon hearing Mitt's words, the golden lion couldn't help but squint its eyes. He knew Mitt was powerful, but he wasn't too vigilant. After all, there was only one person on the other side. And through the just confrontation, the golden lion has already gained a sense of confidence. So the golden lion burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. The laughter left people around puzzled and their eyes filled with confusion. The golden lion smiled and said, Do you think I'm afraid of you? Okay, I agree to your request. Put your horse over here, I want to see how much weight you have. Then get ready, Mitt said with a calm expression. But the airflow around my body has started to rise continuously, and my hair is also blowing slightly, flickering with small electric lights. In an instant, the sky over the entire Honeycomb Island was covered by dark clouds, and the sky suddenly became dim. This move will determine the outcome of the two of them. Chapter 6 Kirin. Rocks, take action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The pirates who have been observing the situation in such a big battle are a bit restless. Boss Lox, a subordinate, quickly came over and shouted. Over there. Don't worry, Lox said in a deep voice, looking up at the sky. Let me see your strength again, Mitt. Lox also wanted to see Mitt's strength, but he quickly realized that the situation was not right. The sky was covered in dark clouds, with occasional flashes of electric light in the darkness. Mitt let out a loud shout, unleashing his entire body with electricity and charging it straight up into the dark clouds. In an instant, lightning burst out and the entire honeycomb island was illuminated. The pattering raindrops, accompanied by thunderous sounds, fell and the sound grew louder and louder. Everyone noticed something was wrong, and the clever pirate had already begun to retreat. "Let's withdraw first. Hurry up, otherwise you'll be." Suddenly there was a thunderous click. Before he could finish speaking, a thunderbolt struck an unlucky pirate, and he was instantly killed on the spot. Looking at the charred body, the relatively weak pirate's face changed greatly, and he quickly scattered and fled, afraid of being affected as well. Nevertheless, there were still pirates who were hit one after another. Ah! The screams of agony kept echoing in my ears. Edward Whitebeard saw this and his expression was very serious. He burst out with a strong aura and put on a defensive posture. The electric light emitted from the air knew that Mitt's move was remarkable. This kind of battle, even a Whitebeard, dare not take it lightly. For the Golden Lion, the same goes for him. His face darkened and he put away his previous frivolity. With the long sword across his chest, the Golden Lion was already prepared. He plans to compete with Mitt like this and determine the winner in one go. As for the safety of Beehive Island, the Golden Lion obviously didn't care so much. Mitt stared closely at the Golden Lion and suddenly waved his right hand upwards. Kylan the thunderclouds in the sky trembled and roared, and the flickering electric light intertwined into a terrifying thunder beast. This thunder beast is exactly the Qilin, shining with lightning all over its body. It opens its bloody mouth and charges fiercely towards the Golden Lion. The Kirin's roar was immense, and the entire honeycomb island was trembling slightly, as if afraid. Rox's face changed slightly and he suddenly stood up from his position. He himself did not expect such a great power, and was greatly surprised in his heart. "Drink." The Golden Lion roared and swung several sword rays, unexpectedly cutting through the seawater. The Golden Lion looked serious and charged straight towards the Qilin. He wants to see if he can take this move himself. In an instant, the sky and earth changed color, and huge waves surged around the Beehive Island. The ground is constantly shaking, and houses have long been unable to withstand it, collapsing one after another. Several great pirates, including Whitebeard, are closely monitoring the battlefield and dare not slack off at all. This power. Young Charlotte Lingling looked up with a strange light in her eyes. What a powerful move, Wang Zhan frowned. Even he was shocked by the power of the Qilin and had to move to avoid the falling lightning strike. This terrifying battle naturally caused the pirates on the island to panic. "Run away! Run away! Boss Lox, please help us. It's over, we're going to die." Even before the Qilin fell, these pirates were already in a state of panic, trembling under the dark clouds. The Golden Lion has already unleashed its full strength and is about to clash with Mitt with the ability of the floating fruit. At this critical moment, a black hole suddenly appeared in mid-air. This black hole rapidly expanded and swallowed up both forces in the air. In an unexpected situation, no one expected someone to come out and disrupt the situation. "Stop it for me." Rock's roar echoed through the sky. He took action. "If we don't take action again, the situation is likely to be difficult to control, which is why Lox is so urgent." Seeing this situation, the Golden Lion was slightly stunned and instinctively stopped. Mitt squinted his eyes and looked at the sudden appearance of Rox, sighing inwardly. "Unfortunately, if it weren't for Rock's move, I would have gained quite a few attributes now." Originally, Mitt seemed to take advantage of this opportunity to brush his attributes well, but was interrupted by Rox. For this situation, he had no choice but to stop and retrieve the lightning. There is no need to resist Lox now, there are still many opportunities to brush attributes. Anyway, the goal has been achieved, and I believe everyone knows their strength. The golden lion landed on the ground and looked at the sudden appearance of Lox. Lox. Lox had a serious expression and his gaze swept over the golden lion and Mitt. We are about to set off for battle, don't engage in internal strife here. If you want to go to the Navy, you're a team. Lox secretly rejoiced that if it weren't for his dominant foresight of the brief future through his observations and emotions. Otherwise, the situation wouldn't end as easily as this. Mitt smiled and said to Lox. At first, it wasn't my first move, so there's no need to tell me these things. The current intention is very obvious, let Lox find the golden lion to talk to. The golden lion did not respond to Mitt's statement, just silently looked at the other person. His gaze towards Mitt became even more fanatical. The lightning is really powerful, we need to quickly pull him into the group. With this man's assistance, there will definitely be more experts joining in the future and they will definitely be able to dominate the sea. The golden lion is a man full of ambition. He is now just bowing under the command of Rox and will definitely establish his own family in the future. All the young and strong Mitt naturally became the target of the golden lion. However, what he didn't know was that after seeing Mitt's demonstrated strength, others also had thoughts. Edward Whitebeard walked over from the ruins and patted Mitt's shoulder with force, smiling. I knew you had extraordinary strength. You're just so amazing at a young age, with unlimited potential. He has just seen Mitt's Kirin move and is very appreciative of it. Similarly, Edward Whitebeard also had a desire to recruit. Such a powerful expert, if he joined himself, he wouldn't be afraid to deal with the Navy. Mitt nodded at Whitebeard and then looked around at the approaching pirates. These are all cadres of the Rox pirates, who will dominate the sea in the future. Whether it was John Wang, Charlotte Lingling, or anyone else, their gaze was fixed on Mitt. That move just now has already gained their recognition. Wang John stared at Mitt with a cold gaze and said in a deep voice. You're quite impressive as a newcomer. Mitt smiled slightly and said proudly. I'm just fighting back, no matter which one of you takes action, the situation is the same. Chapter 7. Headline, God Descends, Bounty 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Despite saying so, Mitt couldn't help but show a hint of fatigue. Just that Kirin move consumed a considerable amount of his energy, to the point where he is now feeling a bit tired. He thought so and quietly glanced at the golden lion. Indeed, Lox will take action, but he is not a match for these monsters now. Of course, Mitt is very confident that as long as he is given time, he will definitely surpass all of them. The power of Thunder Fruit is only the tip of the iceberg, and it is far from meeting Mitt's expectations now. Mite, you're still young. With time, you'll surely be able to shake the world. Rox smiled, his eyes filled with excitement. Our reputation as the Rox pirates will also resound throughout the world. I think we should take off the title of Golden Lion as a cadre, Wang John laughed. Even Mitt, who is so young, cannot defeat him. Shut up. The Golden Lion's face darkened. The winner has not been decided yet, don't talk nonsense. Hee hee. Wang John smiled silently, his eyes full of provocation as he looked at the Golden Lion. On the side of the Golden Lion, Charlotte Lingling quickly approached and grabbed onto Kido. It's absolutely correct for Kido to bring you here, Charlotte Lingling smiled. Although you are young, your body and bones are very good. As she spoke, she couldn't help but glance at Mitt. Mitt's intention when facing the other party must be to see his own bloodline and want to have children with him. Of course, Mitt won't agree, he doesn't want to do this. Although Charlotte Lingling now looks very different from the future 4th Emperor Big Mom, Mitt did not have this idea. He has a strong personality and cannot tolerate being a sacrifice for others giving birth. Kato looked at Mitt and patted the other person's shoulder, then smiled and said. That guy from the Golden Lion has collapsed, you're really amazing. As the man who brought Mitt over, Kaido naturally wanted to attract the other party, which is why his attitude was so enthusiastic. In an instant, Mitt was targeted by these cadres with various ulterior motives, becoming the focus of attention. Lox also had this idea, he wanted to see Mitt's performance in the subsequent battles. "All right." Rox suddenly shouted. "You all go back now to rest for me and rest up. We have important things to do tomorrow, don't delay." The pirates on the scene were invigorated, and several big pirates also showed excitement in their eyes. They can't wait to leave tomorrow. Mitt couldn't help but frown and look at the Whitebeard next to him. Whitebeard smiled slightly and spoke. "Our goal for tomorrow is very simple, it's the heavenly gold. The sky is golden." Mitt frowned deeper, his eyes puzzled. He doesn't think light is just sky gold, there must be a hidden truth behind it. However, Edward Whitebeard did not continue to explain, he just took him to another island to drink. The same goes for other great pirates, who surround Mitt and laugh loudly. As long as you gain the recognition of these pirates, integration will definitely be quite fast, and now Mitt is just like that. His eyes were burning as he looked into the distance, thinking inwardly. The first step has already been taken, and the next step is to see the reactions of the world governments. On the other side, in the conference room of Marinfando Naval Headquarters. An emergency meeting is underway. "I knew that Mitt was from the Rocks Pirates," said the Warring States, throwing a document on the table. "And it seems like they just joined, but ended up killing the entire kingdom of Garcia." The Warring States period couldn't help but shake his head and said, "This kid is so young and aggressive, it's quite difficult to deal with. I think we should take more care of this man," he said on the side. "He's so young, I'm afraid the threat will continue to grow. If we—" "You don't have to worry, I'll take care of it," Cap interrupted with a smile. "If this kid does such a thing, Cap will definitely not let him get better." Steelbone Kong looked at the report in his hand and suddenly felt his head swell. There are more detailed information about Mite in the report, so Steel Sky also felt that the other party posed a great threat. Just being young represents the other person's full potential, and once left unchecked, there will definitely be another Lox on the sea. One Lox is already difficult enough to solve, if there are two, the entire ocean will not be peaceful. "Marshal, what do you say?" asked the Warring States. Steelbone Kong came to his senses from contemplation and replied, "The 200 million belly he ordered last time was too little, an additional 100 million. This Mitt poses a great threat, it's best to deal with him and Rocks together." Steelbone Kong unconsciously compared Mitt to Rocks, which is enough to prove his level of importance. The other navies nodded without any objection. "Will the capture plan against Rocks continue?" asked the Warring States on the side. Steel frame empty indicates continuation. "The problem won't be too big." The Warring States nodded and said, "Use the heavenly gold and devil's fruit to lure the Rocks group into the trap, and let them take the initiative. Let's take action again. The Lox team will definitely not be able to withstand the naval encirclement and suppression, and strive to take this opportunity to completely eliminate the enemy." The meaning of the Warring States period is very obvious. He wouldn't even give a chance to escape, he would only try to put it together. "Let's make this decision first," Steel Bones nodded and said. "Everyone, hurry back and prepare, don't take the Rocks Pirates lightly." "Yes," all senior naval officers responded in unison. The Navy quickly reached a consensus and began preparing for Lox to take action. The next morning, through communication with seagulls, Mitt's actions were printed on it and quickly spread throughout the world. Of course, many things inside are deliberately trying to blacken out Mitt, and Mitt is also happy that they think so. Anyway, since he's already a pirate now, how could he care about what others think? Many people around the world have seen this freshly made newspaper, as well as Mitt's photo on it. Suddenly, many people were discussing this sudden newcomer. "Have you heard about it? That man who slaughtered the kingdom of Garcia spotlessly is him." "What? But he looks very young." "You're so young and your strength is so terrifying, there must be a situation in between." Other pirates wandering on the sea also saw this bounty and learned about Mitt. Anyway, through the bounty of 300 million belly and the previous incident with the Kingdom of Garcia, everyone knows that Mitt is a man who is not to be underestimated. Some people are vaguely aware of this, while others continue to wander freely in the sea. But what they don't know is that Mitt will stir up the whole world and become the center of attention. Chapter 8. Roger's Desire, Goal of Heavenly Gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the azure sky, in the calm and calm sea, a pirate ship appeared on the skyline. Once a navy sees the flag of this pirate ship, it will definitely be taken aback. This is exactly the Roger Pirates group that has been in the limelight lately. Raleigh. Raleigh. Captain Gerd Roger waved the newspaper in his hand and walked quickly towards Raleigh. Take a look. Raleigh was lazily lying on the lounge chair at this moment, and couldn't help but lift his head when he heard the captain's voice. What's wrong? As soon as he finished speaking, Roger slapped the newspaper on Raleigh's face. Taking off the newspaper from his face, Raleigh quickly scanned the report on it. What is said in the newspaper is precisely related to Mitt. Raleigh was a bit surprised, he didn't expect Mitt to be so young with impressive strength. Look, this Mitt is very interesting, Roger chuckled. It seems to be a natural fruit, is it a thunder fruit? This young guy happens to meet him. Unlike Roger's excitement, Raleigh's face was gloomy as he continued to look at the newspaper in his hand. This guy's strength is definitely impressive, and he's also a natural fruit type person. That man from Rocks has an extra helping hand. Speaking of this, Raleigh couldn't conceal a worried expression in his eyes. Are you worried? Roger asked. Of course, this is not a joke, Raleigh said in a deep voice. Especially if we are going to confront the Rocks pirates next, it will definitely have an impact. The Rocks pirates were already very powerful, but now there is another person joining. Anyway, this is not something to be happy about. It's okay, Raleigh. Roger grinned and showed a smile. His expression was very confident, obviously not worried about it. With me around, whether it's Mitt or Rocks, it's not a problem. Raleigh couldn't help but shake his head and look ahead at the sea. He does know Roger's prowess, but for some reason, Raleigh always felt something was wrong. The target is expected to be caught up soon, so it's better to prepare for the next battle. Of course, Roger said, I will definitely win the gold in the sky and will not give it to anyone else. Be careful of Rocks and other pirate groups, Raleigh continued to remind. There must be many pirate groups watching the target sky, and Raleigh doesn't want to take it lightly. However, Roger had already turned around and greeted his subordinates. Everyone move up, prepare to intercept the target ship, the target sky is golden. Oh. The members of Roger Pirates responded in unison. Seeing this situation, Raleigh shook his head and sighed. I hope things go smoothly. He couldn't help but look at the photo in the newspaper as he spoke, and the man named Mitt seemed to be also looking at him. Raleigh's ominous premonition grew stronger and stronger, and he couldn't help but frown. What is the strength of this man named Mitt? On the other side of the sea, Mitt was sitting on the deck practicing. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes tightly, and his whole body was constantly emitting crackling electric light. It makes people feel intimidated. Besides him, there were many pirates gathered around, looking very panicked. Just now, a pirate responsible for delivering meals to Mitt was suddenly struck by an electric light and fell all over in black. These pirates were all frightened, one by one, and they dared not act rashly. It wasn't until Rocks brought people over to patrol that these pirates had just moved. Several pirates walked ahead, and upon seeing this situation, they couldn't help but ask the pirates on the deck. What's going on? He just came over to deliver rice to Mitt, and ended up electrocuting like this, said a pirate with courage. He couldn't help but look at Mitt while speaking, his body trembling slightly. Upon hearing this commotion, Mitt opened his eyes and pointed at the burnt black man on the ground. The man suddenly took a puff of smoke and stood up straight. Scared. The pirates on the deck were startled by their suddenly resurrected companions and retreated in succession. Rox saw it interesting and couldn't help but step forward. As soon as he approached, Lox felt a noticeable increase in the air around Mitt and asked curiously. "What are you doing on the deck?" "Practice and exercise your body," Mitt replied, pointing to the burnt black man again. The man quickly ran up, frightening the others around him. "Is this your way of cultivation?" Rox couldn't help but laugh. "This is the first time I've seen this way. Was it your original creation?" Xianglei fruit can use small electrical currents to stimulate the body muscles, allowing them to exercise quickly, explained Mitt. "Only I can do this, not you." "Interesting," Rox shook his head. "It seems that you are very good at developing thunder fruit, but it's better to be careful." He was worried that Mitt would lose control and affect others by playing like this. "Don't worry, I will control it." Mitt understood the other person's meaning. "I'm afraid the other party still has doubts," Mitt added. "My abilities have other uses, such as stimulating the heart and performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation." Locke's eyes lit up and he spoke up. "Then you can become a temporary ship doctor responsible for performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation." Mitt was momentarily taken aback and then nodded. "I should be able to handle it." "Okay," Lox's smile remained on his face. "Then I won't disturb you, practice well." With Mite, the newly joined expert, Rox had even more confidence in his heart. He looked ahead at the sea, as if he had already seen the target ship. That is a very large cargo ship, with several warships escorting it, which is exactly what Lox and his team are targeting. The heavenly gold is on the cargo ship. As long as it breaks through the guard, it can be taken away. And it's not just heavenly gold, I heard there are rare devil fruits inside the goods. Everyone knows the rarity of the devil's fruit, so as soon as he received this news, Lox immediately targeted it. At the same time, Lox also planned to take this opportunity to inflict a heavy blow on the Navy and dampen their morale. Boss Lox, Boss Lox. Just as Lox was thinking, someone hurriedly ran over. The pirate looked very panicked and hurriedly reported to Lockhart. "We have found a situation in the northeast direction, and we are not sure about the specific situation yet." Rox frowned. "Can we say it's the target ship?" "You should know that they have already investigated and locked this fleet in advance. 9 times out of 10 what appears at this time is the target." Thinking of this, Lox looked carefully and found that it was too far ahead, only a small outline could be seen. He immediately said, "It's too far to see clearly. Now everyone take action for me, get over there." Rox ordered loudly. "Once you find out it's our target, just take action." "Yes." Chapter 9. Encountering Roger, the Cunning Lox. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The fleet led by Lox quickly approached like this. Quickly, Edward with a white beard at the forefront realized something was wrong. I didn't expect it to be Roger, that kid." Edward Whitebeard couldn't help but laugh, his eyes full of excitement. He fought with Roger pirates several times and couldn't wait to continue fighting. Now that the other party appears here, they must also be coming towards the heavenly gold. "It's actually Gold Roger." Mitt couldn't help but say. He really didn't expect to meet Roger so soon, the man who was about to become the One Piece King. But now with Mitt here, it's not easy to say what the future development will be like. Lox himself also saw the flag of Roger's pirates and his face darkened. Unlike others, Rox was very unhappy with the appearance of Roger pirates. He knew these guys would come out and disrupt the situation, and immediately ordered the ship to approach. On the side of the Roger pirates, both Captain Roger himself, Vice Captain Raleigh, and others are on high alert. Roger was still smiling, his gaze fixed on the man on the deck of the ship in front of him. "Long time no see, Lox." Roger took the initiative to say hello. "It's been about 3 months since we last met, I didn't expect to meet here." Stop talking nonsense, said Rox in a cold tone. Why are you here? Did you also target that target? You mean the sky is golden, Roger replied with a smile. That's just by the way, I can give it to you if you want. We just want the 2 demon fruits on the ship, the green dragon fruit of the phantom beast species, and the meatball fruit. Ha ha ha. Rox couldn't help but burst out laughing. Do you think you can dismiss us with just one mouth? Don't joke. Edward, with a white beard, spoke on the side. Roger, since you have the same goal as us, then you only have one game left. Whitebeard said, his eyes full of war intent. Wait, this is about to start a fight. Kato exclaimed in surprise. Although he is very interested in devil fruit, he doesn't really want to conflict with Roger pirates. After all, the Roger pirates are currently in high demand, and they have fought against each other before, knowing that each other is powerful. What's going on? Charlotte Lingling smiled, are you afraid? Of course I'm not afraid, Kato shook his head. But once the fight starts, the Navy will be happy. You're right. Lingling nodded, of course she didn't want to waste her energy here. But we have a guy here who has always wanted to take action. As soon as Charlotte Lingling finished speaking, Edward Whitebeard spoke loudly. So what? Since we all live in the sea, we should adapt to the rules of the sea. Let's do it, Captain Lox. Mitt looked in his eyes and nodded slightly. He definitely supports going to war with Roger pirates, otherwise there would be no place to brush attribute points. Upon hearing Whitebeard's words, Lox had a serious expression on his face. Roger, you made such a name for yourself at a young age, there's really no need to die here. Join our Rox Pirates team, so you don't have to risk your life. Let's take down the goal together, what do you think? Of course, Lox was not willing to waste his energy, so he ignored Whitebeard directly. He wants to seize this opportunity now and recruit Roger pirates under his own banner. The strength of the Roger pirates is impressive, they can recruit anyone they can. Roger's smile immediately narrowed and he said coldly. Lox, you have also become confident. Do you think we are just so weak? Speaking, Roger's gaze swept over and suddenly his eyes lit up. Are you Mitt? Your news has been circulating in the newspapers lately. How about it? Are you interested in coming to our side? Don't go to Locke's place. As he spoke, Roger began to think of Mitt and dug the wall in front of Lox. Lox had an unpleasant expression on his face, he said in a deep voice. I warned you before, it seems that you are not clear about the current situation. I will definitely win the heavenly gold and devil's fruit. Whoever dares to block the way will be killed, no matter who it is. Roger sneered and said loudly, then let me see if you can do it. We need both demon fruits, and there won't be any setback in this. Roger's words were very obvious, he refused Rox's proposal without mercy. Mitt saw it and didn't rush to respond to Roger. The situation is a bit anxious now, and Mitt himself is also thinking. In this situation, we need to see if we need to go directly to grab the fruits or engage in battle now. It's better to infer based on the most favorable situation then. Just as Mitt was thinking, Roger's voice came over again. Mitt. Didn't you hear me? He was still trying to win over Mitt. Our Roger Pirates team needs you now, come over if you're interested. At Roger's words, other pirates at the scene looked over one after another. Charlotte Lingling couldn't help but laugh and said, it seems that our newcomer is quite popular. Even Roger has come to recruit us. Interesting. Wang John's lips curved into a sneer. He wanted to see how Mitt would respond, and he took advantage of this opportunity to take action. Unlike others, Wang John wants to directly deal with Mitt, a dangerous character. Faced with Roger's invitation, Mitt didn't hesitate any longer and spoke directly. Sorry, I don't have that idea. Speaking, Mitt activated the Thunderbolt Fruit and struck a thunderbolt from the sky, targeting Roger standing on the deck. The other members of Roger Pirates were all startled, but Roger himself had no influence. He just stood still, letting this thunder strike. And just as the lightning struck, Roger struck like lightning, stabbing his sword upwards. With a loud bang. The falling thunder was scattered by Roger's sword like this. Ha ha ha. Roger laughed heartily. You're really amazing, Mitt. His tone was quite excited. Then let's see who can succeed. As he spoke, Roger's terrifying aura erupted, and his domineering aura soared into the sky. Rox's face changed slightly, and he saw Roger himself rushing into the air at some point. Divine avoidance. With a sword swung out, the terrifying red sword with overwhelming momentum rushed straight towards Lox. This move is extremely fast and moved everyone on sight. This. Kai opened his mouth, and just as he was about to speak, Rox moved. I saw Rox suddenly raise his right hand and strike a punch, forcefully blocking it. The collision between the two sides immediately made the sea surface at the scene restless. Boom! The duel between the two of them seemed to split open the sky, sweeping away the surrounding white clouds. The situation on sight suddenly became turbulent. Chapter 10. Battle of Raleigh and Lox's Favor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Due to the relationship between Rox and Roger, the sea began to swell. The pirates on the deck were all tightly grasping what they could, shouting in their mouths. Hold on, we'll win when Boss Rox gets rid of Roger. Hurry up and kill him, Boss Lox. Listening to the screams of the pirates, Rox's face changed slightly and he immediately increased his strength. Roger, who was originally competing with Rox, immediately noticed the situation and slashed it with a sword. Divine avoidance. Another terrifying red sword, this time even more powerful than last time. Lox dared not welcome him, so he dodged and charged towards Roger. Roger refused to be outdone and immediately prepared to counterattack. Other members of the Roger pirates are also eager to take action against the Lox pirates. The situation immediately changed, and everyone was preparing to take action. Without hesitation, Mitt struck a thunderbolt at Roger and headed straight towards him. But just before the thunderbolt fell, Raleigh suddenly appeared and cut it off with a sword. Kid, it's not good to make a sudden move, Raleigh said in a deep voice. After a brief confrontation, Raleigh's heart was filled with shock. This kid actually knows how to wrap around with armed colors, we can't underestimate him. With this thought in mind, Raleigh was highly focused and ready to take action again at any time. Thank you very much, Raleigh. Roger smiled and his face immediately darkened. At this point, we can only compete with Rox. Everyone, take action. Without hesitation, Roger shouted and attacked Rox with a sword, even more powerful than before. Let's go up too, Edward Whitebeard shouted excitedly. After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for other pirates to respond, so he took the initiative to charge forward and engage in battle with the enemy. Kaido and Charlotte Lingling next to each other glanced at each other and joined the battle. However, except for Edward Whitebeard, all the other big pirates were rowing and didn't exert much force. Mitt originally intended to kill many people on Roger's ship, but he was still entangled by Vice Captain Raleigh. Don't underestimate me. Raleigh shouted, cutting off Mitt with a broadsword. Mitt didn't talk nonsense to the other party and continued to strike several thunderbolts at them. These thunder strikes were quite terrifying, but they were all blocked by Raleigh. Mitt took this opportunity to quickly approach each other, waving his lightning sword and engaging in a fight with Raleigh. The battle between the two of them can be considered a tie. Mitt has advantages in fruit ability and speed, while Raleigh's advantage lies in combat experience and the use of dominance. Experience is indeed a disadvantage for Mitt, but he has not fallen behind. Instead, what surprised Raleigh was that Mitt became increasingly skilled in timing and intensity of his shots. The other party is constantly growing. Raleigh didn't expect Mitt to grow so fast, and his attack couldn't help but become rapid. On the other hand, the fleet of the Rox pirates has already approached, and both sides have started fighting. Lox is still fighting Roger, and a powerful shockwave is constantly spreading outward centered around their battle. Ding, obtaining armed color dominance experience *20, gain experience of seeing, hearing, and looking domineering *40, the cold prompt sound of the system rang in Mitt's heart, and a smile appeared on his face. If it continues like this, it's only a matter of time to defeat Raleigh. In this way, they fought against each other for dozens of rounds, and Mitt and Raleigh were evenly matched. Nevertheless, Raleigh's condition is clearly worse than Mitt's. Drink. With a furious shout, Raleigh slashed his sword and repelled Mitt's attack with a single sword. At the same time, Raleigh quickly retreated and jumped onto the deck, taking several heavy breaths. Mitt was floating in mid-air, surrounded by electric light, seemingly unharmed. After all, he can be elemental and not so easily injured. System, show me the panel. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Mitt decided to take a look at his panel. Soon, Mitt's panel appeared in his eyes. Mite, age 15, formerly 27, ability. Thunderbolt Fruit, advanced swordsmanship, advanced body art. Physical condition. Invulnerable to knives and guns. Armed color dominance. Intermediate, 12,000/100000, seen and heard colorful dominance. Beginner, 9920/10,000, dominant and domineering color. Beginner level, 8,000/10,000, fruit development level. Advanced, 36755/10000000, with just a little more experience, Mitt's aura can be elevated to intermediate level. In this way, he won't suffer in this area like before. With this idea in mind, Mitt suddenly swung his right hand and several flashes of lightning flew out of his hand like this. Entangled by electric light, with a strong momentum, charging towards Raleigh himself. Raleigh smiled slightly and, upon seeing the powerful aura of his aura, dodged the opponent's attack. "My knowledge is still a little stronger than yours," he said. Raleigh saw in the recent match that Mitt's visibility was weaker than his, that's why he said that. "Oh. Is that right?" Mitt sneered. Looking at Mitt's expression, Raleigh suddenly realized something was wrong. I saw the lightning he had just dodged, but it turned direction in the air and continued to charge towards him. Raleigh didn't react to this situation at all and could only forcefully resist with armed colors. Boom! Raleigh. Roger couldn't help but shout out as he sensed the situation on Raleigh's side. "Focus, Roger." Rox roared. He crossed his hands and swung an X-shaped black air blade at Roger, sucking all the ships and seawater around him. Roger's face changed drastically, and he quickly burst out with a strong aura, wielding his sword heavily to resist. Divine avoidance. The moves of both sides collided once again, and the waves on the sea grew larger and everyone began to stand unsteadily. Mitt floated in the air, looking ahead with a slight smile. Just now, he heard the system prompt. Gain experience of seeing, hearing, and looking domineering *40, the aura of seeing and hearing has been upgraded to intermediate level. Current experience is 0/100000, gain 40 experience of domineering color and domineering aura, overlord color and domineering aura upgraded to intermediate level, current experience is 0/100000, strength evaluation update. The host is currently rated as at the advanced level of Kawaii. 7 Martial Seas. Mite whispered, his eyes sparkling with precision. My goal is not just that. Mite's current goal is no longer the 7 Martial Seas, but the 4 emperors, generals, and even the pirates. Since entering this era, Mitt will not miss any opportunity to improve his own strength. And the Raleigh in front of him will also be a stepping stone for his promotion. Your strength has actually improved. Raleigh's voice came from the smoke. Immediately after, he appeared in front of Mitt with a serious expression on his face. He shook his head and couldn't help but sigh. This terrifying increase in speed has led to the emergence of another monster in the world. You're too dangerous, Mitt.